Such a such a pretty face, such a pretty hair, such a pretty me. I'm so pretty.
You're so pretty. You're
I'm so
so pretty and healthy and wise. What a pity.
all the world can't be like me.
There's some other good ones. What was that? Oh, I don't know. It was West. No, I think it was Salt Pacific. They have some good songs.
Yeah. My mom used to have all these albums of musicals. She liked musicals.
Yeah,
So I kind
me
of grew
too.
up with musical. I used to think that when you went to the grocery store, there'd be people dancing in the aisles, but it never happened.
Yeah. Well, if they had have been, probably would have been a lot better world.
What a cool world it would be if
You
people
got that right.
sing about getting their groceries.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hey, Barb.
Hi, guys.
Hi,
Can you
Barb.
hear me?
I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
I, I
you're
think
good. You're good. Yeah.
I think you broke the record for getting your audio going the fastest. Most people, it takes them 20 minutes to figure out how to turn it on.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm Mike Carroll. I've never met you so far.
No, I haven't met you either, Michael. It's good to meet you. I'm Barb.
Hi, Barb.
He's the world's handsomest man, by the way.
You got pretty
Yes.
blue eyes. They're almost as pretty as mine.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe I'll get there someday.
I'm so pretty. I'm so pretty. I'm so pretty and witty and wise. What a pity. All the world can't be like me.
What's some of the songs from Salt Pacific? There's If Ever I Would Leave
Oh,
You.
that
Was
was a
that was
good
that in
one.
there? Was
Yeah.
that in there?
I don't know if that
It
was.
wouldn't be in summer. Oh, that was a great one. Oh, you're probably too young for those, Barb.
No,
You're just
wait, wait, which one is that?
Salt Pacific, isn't it? Isn't it?
Oh, you know what? Not familiar with that one. Yeah, I didn't
Wow,
know we were going to do musical
excuse
theater
me.
today, but I love it.
Musical theater. Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
don't we just do a sing along the whole
Okay.
show? That would drive Mr. Beef Wellington nuts. That's what I call. That would absolutely drive him bonkers, which I like to do. So,
Who's
who?
that? Who's
Another
Beef
one of my
Wellington? Oh,
Kevin is
Kevin.
Beef Wellington.
Yeah, okay.
another one of my favorites is How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying.
Oh yeah, Morse, wasn't that some guy called Morse?
Yeah. And he had this one thing where it's like he's in the bathroom, with executive bathroom, and he goes, "I believe in you. I believe."
I believe in you. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. You got the clear, cool eyes of a seeker of wisdom and truth.
yeah.
You got that upturned smile of a something something perpetual youth.
I believe in you.
And he's singing to the mirror. I thought, how cool is that?
I
Yeah.
know. Well, what are some of the musicals you like then, Barb?
I think my favorite is probably Fiddler on the Roof.
Well, that was pretty good. Yeah.
If I was
I
a
think that's
rich man, la la
yeah,
la la la
yeah,
la 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 la
yeah,
la, bum 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 ba da 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 da. I don't know all the
yep.
words, but
And what's one of the newer ones? Oh my gosh, I can't think of the name. It's
cats.
no,
No.
no. Oh my gosh, I feel like it's wait, it's like a and I even saw we even saw the show. I feel like it's one word. Ugh. It's about like people that own a bar uh, and a guy comes to work there and falls in love with a girl. Yeah, doesn't isn't this how many shows though, right? I don't have to think about it. You know.
Sounds like the story of Mr. Bean's life.
Yeah.
Girls falling in love with him and hanging out at the bar.
Then you have the Who. They did a musical.
Oh
Right?
yeah, yeah.
Quadrophenia. No, Quadrophenia? Or no? Well, that was
Who
kind of
did
like,
who did Pinball Wizard?
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
one of the songs on there was "See me, feel me, touch me, heal me."
Not Heal Me. That's the Sasquatch.
Heal
Oh, you're
me.
putting the Sasquatch lyric in there.
No, that's what he said. It says heal me.
He does?
Yeah.
See me, feel me, touch me. Is it
Heal,
heal me?
heal me.
I don't know.
Oh, he must have known the Sasquatch people then. Boy, he was ahead of his
I
time,
think
eh?
so, yeah.
Old Roger Daltrey.
Roger Daltrey. What a powerhouse song that one was.
Yeah.
I'm asking my daughter what the name of that musical was, because now it's going to bug me. You know, we can't remember these innocuous things as we get older. Like, whatever. I don't know.
I think I know what it is, but I can't think of it. But I
That
got
was
something in my head. Maybe see if I'm
once,
psychic with that.
once. That's what it was in it once.
Okay, I guess I'm not. I never heard of that before.
It's really good, really good. And the songs get stuck in your head, you know. But yeah, we went to see that in Tacoma, actually, an off-Broadway um production in Tacoma, Washington.
And then there was Music Man. You remember Music Man?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
That was
76
Yeah,
trombones
yeah.
in the big parade, 101 clarinets right behind. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I do. I do. I remember all those. Of course, I'm of that vintage. I'm almost as old as you, believe it or not. That's hard to believe.
Oh, we're supposed to be talking about Sasquatch.
Yeah, well, we haven't started yet. We're waiting for Beef Wellington.
I got this. I told you about that little twig, arch twig that's in my front yard, where they took a little sprout of this tree and it's really long. It's about 6 feet long, and they bent it over and tied it down to the fence.
Wow.
Yeah. So every day when I go out and smoke a cigarette, I'm looking at this thing and right in my front yard, right? But
Yeah.
what they did was, you ever play around with a fence, a chain link fence? They're really tough.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
He stuck a finger in one of the links and pulled it out. So it looked like a rubber band, right? And then the limb went down in there and got stuck in that where he pulled it out with his finger. Nobody in their physical hands could pull
Right.
those, not
Right.
pull it out that far, but
Yeah.
far.
That's wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Where's the photographic evidence?
I showed you with the video, didn't I?
I don't think so.
Let's see if I can.
What time is it? Oh, we got a few minutes. I don't know where Beef is.
Hey, have you guys heard of like it's like a I guess a land elemental called the Green Man?
Green Man is
Uh,
Sasquatch.
I have heard of it, but I don't know
Yeah.
anything about it.
Okay.
How come?
I was talking to a guy from the UK the other day, and he was like describing his encounter, and that he saw this thing when he was about 14, and it looked like a tree, but it was moving and blinking its eyes, and like I think he said it was like moving its like hand back and forth. Um, and then he had talked to his mom, and she said it was terrifying. Because yeah, when he was 14, he saw this, and his mom said, "Oh yeah, that's the Green Man." And then so I'm looking, and the Green Man is on a lot of things in you know in the UK, like on their churches and on their
Yeah.
things like that. Like and so, but anyway, what he was describing was one of the things that I saw here in December, and I'm thinking, now is that Sasquatch or is that something else? I mean, because I know I definitely Sasquatch, but I was just wondering if that's yeah. Anyway,
No, that's a
Yeah.
Sasquatch.
The Green Man?
okay,
I think he is. I'm not sure.
Because in England, it rains all the time, so it's their what do you call it? Their hair turns green from.
oh, okay, well, yeah. I
Can you
mean, where
see?
we're at,
Can you see out here in my fence?
And you
It-
fished.
In my fence, where my fence is over here
hi, Kevin.
over here where the tree is. Over here where the
Yeah.
tree is, and then there's a little branch that goes all the way up and it looks like it goes down behind the mailbox. That's that little tiny branch.
Right here? Oh no, you can't see my pointer, can you? No.
No, can't see my pointer either.
Oh, good. I don't really want to see your pointer.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's where it is. That's the photographic evidence. Live video from Savannah.
Ooh, yeah, I want to see that. I want to see how they
And
had
now,
moved
live
that.
from Savannah.
Ah! What happened to
Well, that's
my?
fantastic, Michael. I appreciate that view.
What, this one?
Yep, that one.
It's a Bigfoot. He wears glasses. Oh no, never mind. It's beautiful blue-eyed Bigfoot.
It's the hairy man anyway.
Yeah.
You look a little taxed today, Beef.
Yeah.
Why do you just hire H&R Block like real people do?
Because I'm cheap.
Yeah, same. Me too.
Yeah, but how
I
much
gotta
does
do
it cost? How much does it cost? Like you've been at it for 2 days and you're like stressed to the
You know,
nth degree.
you can either rip the Band-Aid off with them just telling you you're going to owe blah, 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 or
Yeah.
you can prepare yourself as you watch the numbers go more and more into the red.
Right.
That depends on how well you handle either one.
Hey, it's good you started. I have to do ours, and yeah, I'll probably wait till the 13th or the 14th and really stress myself out.
Right.
You know,
I knew I was going to
drink a bottle of wine and
right. I knew I was going to owe this year, and so I just kept putting it off.
Yes.
And my wife we went to Utah, and then I got back. My wife stayed home because she had to work. She said, "You need to do the taxes," and I went, I've put it off long enough.
Yeah, I only do them early when I think I'm getting a refund.
Right?
Yeah.
Which I thought I was getting this year, and I did get a $900 and some odd refund until about 2 weeks later the government mailed me and said I owed them $600 and some odd.
Oh, that's nice.
Bastards!
They made a new law. We made a new law. You know, you owe more. My daughter's fiance, he still has not received his refund from last year, and there's a number he calls, and they keep saying, "Oh, it's processing, it's processing." You know, but there's nothing we can do about that. What are we supposed to do about that, right? Nothing.
Right?
There's nothing
Can
we can do.
Can we give them penalties and interest?
Yeah, right, exactly. Because they probably owe about $10,000 at this point, the way that they, accrue.
Oh, that would wouldn't that piss you off?
I'll tell you something really unpopular. This is the most unpopular thing you could ever hear. Is I was just before the show, I was looking at the Constitution. I looked at the Constitution. I want to see what their reading was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it says, "We the people," blah 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 blah, right? And then after that, it starts getting into the Constitution, right? And the very first thing it says is about them establishing their powers. Mm-hmm. So then the whole Constitution is about the powers that they take from us. It's not really a good document for enlightened beings. It's really not. And then it goes power after power. And then at the end, right, it's really got this cool thing where they're writing at the end, sort of like I don't know what do you call it, postscript or something. That they're talking to I guess a future president. Jesus, my mind. But anyway, they say we understand that none of this stuff is enforceable unless you take away the rights of certain citizens. So the whole Constitution is about the agreed on rights that they're going to take away from people. It's kind of crazy, man.
No, they wouldn't do that.
Never.
They don't follow the Constitution anyway, so.
True story.
It's the whole thing. It was a setup for to being, I don't know, power brokers or something.
You mean they're not dishonest?
No, it's not dishonest. It's just not in our favor.
Oh.
Yeah.
By accident?
They take our taxes against our will, and then they spend it for whatever the hell they want to.
Right.
Basically, that's no taxation without representation. They represent us. That's the lie. They're not representing us.
Yep. Yeah.
Should I put the Tax Man on by the Beatles now, seeing as we're
Yeah,
talking about
Tax
taxes?
Man.
Yeah, I'm the Tax Man.
I'm comfortable.
Hey,
Kevin, you missed musical theater.
What?
You missed musical theater.
if
Yeah.
ever I would leave you,
Okay, I'm friends with Brian, so I get
it
musical
wouldn't be
theater
in
all the time.
summer.
In summer. That's right. You're singing
I'd leave you
song.
I'd leave you any other season of the year though, and truthfully in summer too. Go. Hey everybody, my name is Port Cunningham, and I'm here with the world's handsomest man, Frank Oliver Baines.
You're
This is
so
the Pork and
lucky to
Bean
be
Show.
watching me. This is applause. Applause.
Your beauty shines through. Let's give him a little
Round.
round of applause. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah. You missed. I was doing a live feed of my
Mhm.
tree band a little while ago. That didn't get recorded.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
not
yeah,
gonna-
it'll
I'm not
be
gonna
on
go-
it'll be in the final YouTube edit.
But the thing is it was my camera was going through the glass, and whatever reason, it didn't really focus so good.
Well, then you know it's true evidence because it never,
Right.
never
It was
in
too
public.
clear.
Well, it was blurry. It was perfect because it was blurry.
Yeah, yes.
That's how
By the
you
way,
know-
at 10:30, you're gonna have to take the helm there for a few minutes, Mr. Beans and Mr. Beef.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your loss there, Brian. I know you're, complete dominance of the airwaves is something.
No, but I just got an email from KDP, the people who upload my book and whatever. Like I had it I've hired them to actually edit it properly, because I don't know if you looked at the book I gave you, Beef. There's like one word on some pages, two words on some. There's some pictures missing. Yeah, it's
one.
Look at that.
it's
Right, yeah, it is. Yeah, I've noticed that. Yeah.
yeah. So
like this.
exactly.
Yep. Yeah. Still a great
How did
book,
that
but
happen,
yeah.
Brian?
So
Because
Anyway,
nobody ever looked at his book. They just took it from his paper,
yeah,
from
see,
his
you never knew.
PDF,
Yeah.
and just printed it.
Yeah. Yeah, you never knew that because you haven't even looked at the book, and you've had two versions of it, Mr. Wellington.
I'll just wait for
But,
I'll wait for the complete perfect version. What do you mean?
But anyway, but basically everything is, all the writings in there and whatever. But I'm in trouble now. I'm writing another one, writing a part 2. So that's
Awesome.
Part 2.
You know, you're funny when you write books because all of a sudden you disappear from pretty much everything. And you know, you get a little testy sometimes.
but anyway, this is why Mr. Beans is going to have to take the helm at 10:30, and you because they are getting a hold of me or whatever to finalize things. So, but it shouldn't be long. I think it's just yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, 3 bags full kind of thing. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly. Are you up for it, Mr. Beans?
I'll do my best.
Okay. And you can carry Mr. Beef along with you.
Yeah.
So we're here today with Barb Hartman and her friend from the vicinity, Kevin Royce, otherwise known as Beef Wellington, on the show.
The big
And,
kahuna. He's the kahuna from Hawaii.
What? No, he's not. My wife is.
Oh yeah, she's been there way more than I have.
She was there for 6 weeks, like about 3 months ago, and now she's there for another 5 weeks.
Oh, that's awesome. That would be awesome.
Oh, I know. I know. That's pretty cool. She's there for a reason.
All my rich friends.
Yeah.
So why don't you I want to start off with Barb, her history, how she got into everything and whatever. But why don't you guys first off tell us how you guys met and got in contact with each other?
Okay. Do you want me to start, or do you want to go, Beef? How about if you start, Beef?
Actually, no, I want you to start because to be
Okay.
honest with you, I don't remember how we met.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I got
That's
it.
He doesn't have
Yeah.
he doesn't have a good memory.
Me going.
Well, I don't either. I might, I had to text my daughter earlier about a show that we were talking about that was one word.
Yeah.
I could not remember the word.
Beef,
Anyway.
beef actually has a memory like an elephant, but unfortunately the elephant's deceased.
Yes, right.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Okay, well, all right, I'll tell you, I think that I became very interested in Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever. As a child, I watched the Legend of Boggy Creek with my dad, and then I remember him showing me the Patterson Gimlin film, and I had said to him, Dad, did you ever see anything like this? Because he would go hunting and camping in these remote areas, and fishing in these remote areas in Ontario, Canada. And he said, well, yeah, there's like a hairy man that lives up there, a wild man. But and then he just laughed. And I wish that he was still around, that I could ask him more questions because of what we're experiencing now. I don't know. You never knew with him if he was joking or not. So anyway,
So you don't know if he was joking.
I don't know if he was joking, yeah, but I do know, I feel like it's weird that it's interesting that he always wanted to watch these documentaries and whatnot, with me. So and so that's how I think I really got interested in it. Then let's see, we moved to Washington State in 2013, and then in 2017 we moved to our current house on the Puget Sound, and Kevin and I are neighbors, not next door, but on this little peninsula we live on.
Yeah, within about 5 miles.
Yeah, okay, right. So let's see, we moved in September. In the next March, so March 2018, my husband one day said to me, Barb, I got to show you this, what I found under the house. Now, my husband is a skeptic. He's come to be like they probably do exist now, but at that point, pretty much of a skeptic. But he had found these 18-inch bare foot prints under our house. And he said he walked by them for 2 days. And he said, I don't know what else to think. I've looked at them there. I mean, so takes me down and shows me. I'm like, wow, I think it's a Bigfoot. And so, we were kind of like, wow, but not, I wanted, how do I want to say, like, I wanted to think that was true, but it's almost unbelievable when you've never seen actual evidence, Then he also said, well, I got to tell you, I found on our beach, there were big, like a couple of big boulders that had been pulled up out of the sand and the rocks and flipped over. And that's, like you were talking earlier, Michael, that's not something that is humanly possible without, without like some sort of equipment. So, and I think that was about it for that. We didn't really find anything else. The house that we bought is in a kind of remote area. We have woods all around us. The woods go all through the peninsula, as Kevin knows. So I guess it would be very copacetic place for them to be, if they exist. But again, we didn't really have anything else. I had an audio experience, I guess you would call it, when we were camping one night in Gifford Pinchot National Forest, which is in southern Washington State. And that I was like, okay, they do exist now, because I was just awakened overnight and terrified by the sounds that I was hearing. And so I think about probably after that, I thought, you know what, I want to really start to investigate as far as not just watching documentaries, because I don't like to watch movies and, like fiction about Bigfoot and Sasquatch. I love to watch documentaries, and I love to read books and research. And I thought, and I want to look to see like what people are actually experiencing as far as like encounters and witnesses. So I started to like look into a lot of that. And then I thought, you know what, I think I'm going to start my own Facebook page, because what I found was that, and you guys know, people can be so hateful online. And so, like, so if you don't believe with totally in line with what their beliefs are, or if you have questions about any, like, how dare you ask that question? They're obviously, an ape, or they're obviously came from a UFO. And I'm like, what the heck? I just want to ask questions, and not have people just like jump all over you. So started my own Facebook page, no drama, Bigfoot and cryptids, because again, I want people to be able to express their views, ask questions, without all this drama and fighting. And I think that that's how I got to know maybe Kevin, because there was a local story that I had that was on a Facebook page, a local Facebook page, and it was talking about a guy that was dressed, what was it, Kevin? And he was dressed in like a pine suit or like a pine tree, and he was walking along, the main highway. And I said, well, now what do you guys think of that? And I think you, Kevin, you said too, that sounds like a Sasquatch.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's when I think, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here's a guy that lives, we find out later, right? Like 5 miles from me. And he's saying, oh yeah, there's a clan here. Absolutely.
There's at least one clan. There's probably more.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Kevin told me he taught you everything you know. Is that true?
Oh yeah. Go away, bro.
After we started conversing, everything.
I got a real serious question.
Okay.
How many people do you have in your group?
About 800.
Oh, that's
Wow.
good. That's good, because we got 1,300 in our group. So
Okay.
We're strong. We're big.
Yeah. And and I just started the group in I think it was September. So that's okay. That's pretty good.
You're going to be ahead of us in no time.
Oh, no.
No, I don't know.
Don't
Because I have no problem with booting people out if they're being hateful and and dramatic and asking the same stupid questions. So anyway, but so then on to, and this was right before, I think.
What's the stupidest question you've ever had asked?
Well, this woman, actually a friend of mine recently posted something in there, and she had found like footprints right in her house.
In her house.
In her house. And
okay.
So people were like, well, that, and I'm sorry, oh gosh, because this is like people that they're okay. The people are okay. They just don't realize that they're saying like, oh, well, that looks like a bobcat. That looks like a bear. That looks like just all kinds of things. And that, with her, I don't really think that that's along the lines of like Sasquatch. Maybe that might be like either a spirit or like a dimensional sort of a being. But she was really upset because people were coming up with these bizarre theories. And she's like, I'm obviously not going to post if there's a bear print in my or a cat print in my kitchen. I'm not going to put that on the internet, just things like that. And I'm trying to think of, but that's definitely not the stupidest questions. I don't know. I'd have to think about that, because some of them I know.
Wasn't Kevin?
Again, oh gosh, I hope. Oh God, I'm thinking, oh great. A guy had told me, because I have prints of the original. You have photos of the original print that my husband found, and the guy told me, oh no, that's not a footprint. That's drops of water that had fallen off your deck, and just so. He was convinced that that's what that was, drops of water. So anyway, things like that. But the next thing I think that happened that was significant was, let me see, in March last year at this time, we woke up one morning, and our backyard has several hills, I guess you'd say. And a lot of there's the kinnick berries. You guys know what they are? Kevin, I'm sure you do. It's like very tightly wound like vines, and they form little have little red berries on them, and they're you can walk on these things and try to pull them. I've broken garden tools trying to cut them, and they're very, very strong. So awaken one morning and like, oh my gosh, like the hillside is like dug up, like something had dug overnight, had dug into this and had broken, you know, these vines.
Really tough vines. I mean,
Yeah,
you can't
very,
state
yeah,
how tough these vines actually are.
yeah.
You, if it's humans, we need a machete or something,
Hmm.
or
Right,
even clippers. But
right.
these
Which
were torn, right? These were, you looked at
yes,
it, they
yeah,
were
they were
actually
torn.
torn.
Yeah, they were not cut, they were torn. And it was yeah, and I mean some of them literally like just torn in half, or twisted and torn. So yeah, because I be like talking about clippers, I've broken clippers trying to clip them back because they grow, they're very, grow fast. And anyway, so then I think shortly after that, we found in the woods near me that I like to go and like walk through and hike. And I have permission because a lot of you, and Kevin will tell you, a lot of this is it's private land here where we live. So you can't just go and wander around in the woods, because also it wouldn't be safe to do that because a lot of people, hey, we're armed, we're like, woo,
Exactly.
so yep, yeah.
Risk getting shot, and I'm not kidding.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, true. So, but I found some interesting little structures, I guess you'd call them. And I think, Brian, I think I had sent you a picture, several pictures.
Yeah, I've got some pictures. We can get to them
Yeah, yeah.
in a bit.
Yeah, and so yeah, and then all right, so moving forward, so last September of 2022, we woke up one morning and in an area right next to our house that we had kind of cleared some like little dead saplings and dried up stuff to create a fire break next to our house. With all the wildfires and stuff. I wanted to have something. They were just way too close to our house. Well, so in this little area that we had cleared out, one of the trees, there was which is about 15 feet up. One of the branches, a big one, had been twisted and fallen over. Just like, and I think my husband said, "Oh, look what your Bigfoot friend did, today." Or last night. But and there wasn't wind or anything. There wasn't any wind or anything like that. And you could clearly see that it had been twisted. All right. So again, whatever, could be nature, but then a couple days later, then we find that so the original breaks like this, there's another tree that was far enough away. What something must have done is push that tree. That was more of like a sapling, like an aspen, I think they're called. Or maybe that's not what they call them here. Anyway, had pushed it and now it's like under the original one. And had formed a big, and there were some like dead blackberry vines that had been woven through, and some ferns and whatnot were stuck in. And then at that point I was talking, Kevin, I don't think that I had been talking to you yet. I'm thinking because there was another researcher that had been talking about, and he said, "Oh, you got to get out there and and like try to take some pictures of these wood structures and see if you can maybe form a kind of like a relationship with them, to the effect like you're going into their territory now, so go in and introduce yourself, and I'm sure that they you know what I mean, like that
Oh,
sort of thing."
this was
So,
a researcher who said that? He must
yeah,
have known. He must have been a little smarter than the average bear.
yeah, Michael Scott, I'll tell you, yeah, he's from Southeast Missouri, and I think he's I've been following him for a while, and yeah, so he said, obviously, be careful. I mean, I'm right near my house, so I'm not going out on these long hikes in the remote wilderness. So he said, here's what you do, and he's telling me what to do, and he said, whatever you do, like don't have your don't have your phone up and walking around like this. And he said, and because if you're going to see them, there's going to be a good chance that if they're there, you might see them, but you can't let them know that you're trying to be out there, filming them or getting pictures or whatever. So I'm like, okay. But I thought, I don't know if I want to see one. I honestly don't. So I do. So what did I do? I took my phone. I took my phone out. What I did do is I have a little, like a lanyard with a plastic sleeve that I put my phone in, like a little waterproof, sleeve, and that's around my neck. that's something that I'm thinking, if they're familiar with seeing me, I have that around my neck all the time. I'm, when I'm out working in the yard or whatever, walking around. So they're going to be familiar with that. So I just had that on my neck, and I had it like recording. Okay. And again, thinking, hey, if I don't see, I don't see Bigfoot, that's fine. I honestly didn't think that. So I went over into the woods, looking around at the structures. The one that I found most interesting, I was going to wait till the end to, to check that one out. I was over there probably maybe an hour, maybe even 2 hours. And then I go to my last spot. If I saw something that was interesting, like, there's a lot of little things. Stop, take picture, talk about it. Oh, wow, look at this beautiful whatever piece of art, or look at the beautiful tree, look at the cute bird, Anyway, so get to the last spot that I wanted to, and all of a sudden I hear this, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, so I stopped, and I knew that I had heard, like, I knew that I had heard it. I still can't believe, and it still like freaks me out, thinking about it. I mean, it sounded just like a gorilla, like a silver, I say like a silverback gorilla, those noises that they make. And I didn't see anything, but instinctively, I think I just like kind of backed up, and I thought, wait a minute, what did that just happen? And I thought, wait, do I want to go forward? No, and I thought, no, there's nothing. Hell, I'm not going toward this, even if I don't know. Nope, bye, I'm out of here. So I kind of kept walking backwards, thinking if it is some sort of a predator, obviously I don't want to turn and run, because it's gonna, I don't run that fast. So I was kind of like walking backwards, and then probably when I'm gonna say maybe about 10 to 15 feet away from where I heard that gruff, or that, that grunt, I turned and started to walk to my house, back toward my house. And I had this, at that point, I had this extreme vertigo, and not really, like, I mean, it was like almost like I was thinking I was going to pass out, like flashes in front of my eyes, and I was so disoriented. I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? And then I'm thinking, is this like, am I going to faint? Is this because I just had, this adrenaline rush? Is this like some sort of a physical thing? And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking, like, take deep breaths. And I'm just like trying to walk forward. And then it just left, like it completely went away. And I realized, wow, I'm not even walking towards my house. I'm walking towards this, like, a ravine, because there is a ravine between my property and this property. And so I thought, I'm like, I can't even believe it, because I literally thought I was walking towards my house. It was the weirdest thing. And I felt like, do I know? Like, do I know where? I don't even know how to explain. Like, do I know where I'm even at? It was the weirdest thing. So I'm like, okay, that must have been, just my adrenaline, whatever rush. Take a deep breath, start back toward. I could see one of the outbuildings we have. I could see the roof of that. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna head toward there. Okay. Then again, I get that feeling once again that, I mean, it just hits you like a truck, like a extreme dizziness, vertigo. That at that point, I think I maybe was a little nauseous, and I thought, oh my gosh, like, am I going to be able to make it out of here? Because I was so disoriented, like I almost didn't even know where I was, and I thought, am I going the right way? It was like, do you ever have a dream where you're like trying to, move forward, and you can barely, and that's what this was like. But I kept thinking, okay, just go toward the garage, that garage roof, just walk toward it, thinking, all these things are like, oh my gosh, am I going to be like, is my family knew that I was out in the woods, but am I going to be like laying out here and they're not going to find me for hours? I don't know, whatever, all these things, because I was really terrified, and just so disoriented and so dizzy. So finally I get to the this garage, and I walk, and then I get to my driveway, and it went away completely. I mean, it was just like, whoop, it was gone. That feeling was gone. Like I was completely normal, everything back to normal, completely normal. And I
Wow.
thought,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
I thought, wow. And then I'm excited because I'm like, wow, I heard that thing. So now that grunt and that, that huff. So go in and tell my family. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I have my phone. And I wonder if my phone was recording, but I looked down at my phone and it was dead. So I had no idea, if I caught it or not. I had no idea. And plug it in and I'm telling my family and I'm pretty excited. Then when my phone, it's charged enough that I can watch it. I did get a video of it. I got the video of the gruff,
Oh,
and that like huff, and that was pretty exciting. It's funny. It was a lot, softer than what I heard and what I felt, but that's not unusual. I have no idea how far this thing was from me. I'm going to guess maybe 8 feet, 10 feet, but
Whoa.
I
Nice.
don't know. It
Nice.
could have been, I don't know, because it was, that like feeling that you get like in your chest almost when you hear that, things like that. And I remember
Mhm.
feeling that. And so I don't know. I have no idea how far away I did because I did not see anything. So I think I had messaged Michael Scott, and then he said, well, did you feel anything weird afterwards? And I said, no. And I said, no, wait a minute. And then I described to him about the dizziness and the vertigo. And he said, they were hitting you with infrasound. And I'm like, what? Because that is something that I honestly can tell you, like, I'd never heard about that. I had no idea. I didn't know that that was a thing.
What year was this? How long ago was
This
this?
this was just this was in last October, last
Okay.
October
So that's pretty
of
recent.
2022. Yeah, yeah. And so then he said, well, he was talking to another guy from Tacoma, Lynn Gaspir. I don't know if you guys know him, but
Yeah, it's
he's
Lynn
okay. Yeah,
Gaspar. Yeah.
he's
He's been on the
seen him in,
show, I believe.
yes, yeah, yes. And he said, oh, they're probably just sorry, he said, probably just saying hi and letting you know you're there, and why don't you go back over and see if you can. And I'm like, nope, no, I am not going back over to see if I can find them yet. I was really, really, I was really scared. I didn't want to. I don't think that they meant me, that there was any. I'll tell you what I think. uh Thinking back over it, I feel that it was a protective grunt, like maybe a mom, and there were, maybe some juveniles, I don't know, and just trying to get me out of there, making sure that I got out of there. And I think it's pretty cool that it happened twice, because was the first time where I was going in the wrong direction, did it ease up, like, wait a minute, she's going to go in the wrong, she's going to go down into this ravine, hold on, and then once I corrected my course and they want to make sure that I got out of there, that I was out of there. I don't know. That's just speculation on my part as far as that. But yeah, that was pretty cool. And I think a few days after that, we found some prints in our front yard, some footprints in our front yard. One was like 12 inches, and then the other one was about 20 inches. And they're in this like compacted mulch and and forest like matter. And I showed my husband, and he's like, oh no, I think that might just be my footprint. So I'm like, well, let me see. He's jumping up and down on the ground trying to make this deep print, and he couldn't. So he said, wow, you know what, that's pretty cool too. So
yeah. Can I ask you
yes,
a couple of questions about the
absolutely. Yeah,
well,
sure.
I think that's one of the main reasons that they do want to keep you out of an area is because of young
Mhm.
ones and whatever. That's happened with me. So that what you were thinking is probably pretty reasonable
Yeah.
assumption, I think.
Mhm.
Now you were saying you had you experienced like when you're in a dream and you can't move forward. Did it feel like there was like a force field almost in front of you, like you were having a hard
Yes.
time walking?
Yes,
Okay,
like all
yeah,
around
yeah.
me. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I've had that too, where you're just like,
Yeah.
it's almost like Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz, and when she's
Mhm.
running through the field to the Emerald City or whatever, and it feels like they can hardly move and stuff.
Yes. Yes. That's what I felt like. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like it
okay,
was
yeah.
so hard. Oh, and it just like it freaks you out. Like me, like thinking about it, that feeling was just, anyway, yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
sure. I'm not sure why they do that, but it could be something really simple, like you were there for over an hour. You said maybe even
Hmm.
2 hours. It could be as simple as they wanted to go down to the creek to get something to drink, and they were
Right,
just trying to say, "Look, we're fed up. Well, why don't you just look
right.
at
Get
it's
out of
something
here.
real simple
Yeah,
like that."
yeah. And I do think that I was moving. There were two structures that I wanted to take a look at. And they could have been, maybe that was where they were, hiding or whatever. And they're like, and and they're like, get out of here already, and they didn't want me to come any closer, which
Or it could be
I don't
something
know.
completely different that we have no clue
That's
about.
true.
It
You're right.
could be it could be an upgrade or a what do you call it? Some kind of like a tagging kind of a thing where you're
Hmm.
never ever going to forget this, right? So that's like
Right.
a
Yeah.
tag.
Hmm.
So I'm not really sure what that is, but
Yeah.
it doesn't seem to be lethal. It just seems to be
No. Hmm.
like
Yeah. And I've been there. I've been over there many times since, and I've never had anything happen like that since. I've never even heard them live. I'll get things on our video camera, our home, security cameras. I'll get sounds that I know it's them. Because again, it's that same like huff, grunt, snort, things like that, kind of sounds. I and we also have these like percussion sounds that are uh, up on our roof, and I'm wondering if they're getting up on the roof. I don't know. I've heard that. I don't, because that's the only thing that I can think of that would be making these sounds. And then we live right on the Puget Sound, so I think they're probably down there on the beach. Kevin will tell you there's a lot of food. There's a lot of food sources here for them, and um, so I think I think right after that though, Kevin, was when I had been talking with you, because I was like, wait, maybe there's really Sasquatch here.
Yeah, there really are.
Yeah.
And they do get on your roof.
Okay.
I assure
Yeah.
you. And
Wow.
it's not the big ones, it's the young ones.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And so, can I ask a question real quick, Brian?
Sure.
I'm gonna interrupt
Oh yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So my question for you, Barb, is have you had any, for lack of a better term, woo experiences with them? Besides the infrasound, right?
that's
I
pretty woo. That's
Well,
yeah.
infrasound itself is a well-known science, and so
Mhm.
it's detectable by
Yeah.
our stuff, our measurements, etc.
Right.
yeah, but
But
there's nobody's ever tested the woo to make sure it is infrasound.
yeah, that's true. What I'm referring to is like some of the really out there stuff that they tend to treat you to over time.
I can't say. I don't really know. I don't think so. There's not been anything. There's definitely been weird things that have happened on this property. But as far as in terms with them, I'd have to say not, no, and not yet, maybe. I don't know. There was something that we were talking about before you came in today, that I one of the one of these things that I got on video, I think that was in December. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he's from the UK, and he was describing this creature that he had seen when he was 14. And he said it looked like a tree, and it it was moving its arm like a tree, and its face was like green, and what he was describing. I'm like, wait a minute, I have seen something like that. And he said he didn't think it was Sasquatch. It's called like the Green Man. And
Mm.
I'd never, but that makes sense. I mean, as far as what I saw, and I've seen that thing a few times, but again, I don't know. I don't know. And I've never seen it with my like with my naked eyes. It's when I feel like something's watching me. And so I'll, get out my phone and record. And that's when I can see, because you can see better, obviously from a distance, things in the distance too, zooming in and looking at things. And it'll brighten it up versus what I don't see that well. So
So you've never experienced mind speak or
no,
thought placement or
no, never.
You might,
No.
you know what? How long you been at this?
This is only, I mean, that happened in October of last year,
Yeah.
so I don't know if that
You know,
will be something.
I would not be surprised if you are experiencing
Exactly. I was just gonna-
thought placement and stuff, because do
Really?
you ever like just find yourself going someplace and then you find something in
Yes.
relation to them? Well, that's
Yes.
them
Yeah.
nudging you.
Did you ever find yourself starting a Sasquatch group?
Yeah, but that was before, so I can't even say.
No,
I can't even.
I think that they are giving you probably thought placement and nudging you and doing stuff like that, but you're just too new at it to realize it yet.
Yeah.
But it'll
Yeah.
become quite apparent before long.
You know,
Sure.
another thing that was cool, which I did not know about, glyphs. I didn't know that they were a thing. I didn't. And under the X, the big X that they had created, it started toward the end of the fall, it kind of started to fall down. It was like very fortified for a few months, but then it was coming down, and I went out there and I was like looking in, and I found these perfectly placed sticks. I said it looked like when you're doing like a tic-tac-toe pattern, little boxes. It looked exactly like that to me. And there were several of them, and they were this is definitely not human, because it's our yard, and and even the wood structures next door, none of this can be, nobody's doing this. So what else is? It's also not natural because of the way that the glyphs were, like one stick is under the other one, and then the other one's like on top, and then they're kind of just, they're not just like thrown on the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was, and I think that was, so that would have been, I can't remember when exactly I found that glyph. And then shortly after, my son-in-law, wait, I'm trying to think. I was under the house, and I found this, it looked like sticks were arranged in like a boat. It almost looked like a boat. And I think I sent those to you also, Brian. And I thought, wow, that's cool. Like what is, but is this something that, like, how did this happen? And I asked my future son-in-law, and he said, oh yeah, he goes, I walked like right over that. He goes, I thought that was weird, because I could see his footprints. And but he said, I didn't do that. And I mean, he's a great, I know that he he doesn't know anything about glyphs and whatnot. So I took a picture of it, and and then I think I showed it maybe to you, Kevin, at this point, and you said, oh yeah. And with the tic-tac-toe, you said, yeah, these look a lot like the ones that my friend Brian Bland has gotten.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, oh my gosh. So then just, I guess the last thing was I mean, except for there's a lot of little things that happened, but they had changed the glyph, and it looked like maybe like a house without a roof on it. And then maybe a week later, I looked at, it has a roof. It looks like a roof. And and who described that to who what do you want to say, like explain to me what it probably was. He said, is Lynn Gaspir. He said, well, that looks like they're talking about you renovating your house, which is what we are, and they're indicating to you, look, we're watching you. Here's your house with a roof, and now there's a roof on it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, because I wasn't thinking of it at all. Like,
some of the glyphs are like literal, where they'll actually draw what they see you doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And some of them are messages that you have to decipher between you and them. So do you want to have some fun with them? Can you want a suggestion?
Okay, sure.
Why don't you start making your own glyphs, and you just tell them what it means, either in your head or verbally, and say, this is what this means, and see if they start communicating with you according to that, because the chances are they will. You understand what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
So
okay.
So I did that at Brian's request or suggestion. I created my own glyph, right? So it represented me. And it was a stylized K with a pine cone turned sideways, point side out.
Okay.
And I said out loud to them, this is very early on in my whole experience with them. I said to them, and this represents me, Kevin, and if you want to make any changes, I'm going to leave this here and you guys show me what you think it ought to be and I'll go back. And they didn't change it at all, actually. But I was walking less than 2 weeks later in towards the lake that I live near. And they left in the middle of the trail a stylized K with a pine cone exactly.
Oh,
So
wow.
just know that you need to speak it out loud, or if you've got a good sense of telepathy, because I think that's I really do think it's a real thing. Say it in your head and just know that they're going to know. And
Okay.
if they want to interact with you that way, which I think they do, until you prove, like I did, that you're kind of done with the whole thing and don't get their glyphs.
I think Beef is understating it, and I think he knows that he's understating it. They definitely understand telepathy. If you think it in your head, they'll definitely know what you're saying. But you can also speak it to them if you want.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I have a question. This is where the big X is and these little structures and stuff. How far is that actually from your house? Is just like the next door over, next
Yeah.
property over?
No, the big X is yeah, that's probably 30 feet maybe from our house. Maybe even, yeah, I'd say 30 feet. Yeah, from the actual house. Probably less than, actually about 25 feet from the deck, 20 feet from the deck. So really close.
But that's like your property, and they're on your property saying, "We are here."
Yeah, yeah,
That's kind of in your face. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
like a beyond what do you call it? Like it's like a request for friendship or friendship request. They're saying
Absolutely.
we're here. We're gonna be friends. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
that's sweet. That's really amazing.
And I found with talking with Michael Scott and then with Kevin is I want them to respect my property and my home. I don't want them to, damage anything or cause any problems. And the same way with when I go in, to their home and they're onto their property. And so I say, hi, I'm here. I hope it's okay. Is it okay if I take some pictures? And I have at this point, and I would like to see one, face to face, maybe not face to face, but I would like to see one, and so I will say, like, if you want to show, if you think I'm ready, because maybe I'm not ready, maybe they know, I don't know, you know what I mean? I can't say.
They'll know. It's up to them. They'll know if you're ready or not. More than you will.
Yep.
But
I wanted to say that if you don't want them doing something or whatever, just say, hey, I want to see you in this, but I want you to respect my house and don't do this and don't please or whatever. And because that works. I mean, it's even worked with people who have offered them, or when they've been coming in people's gardens and taking just about everything. Like Arla, our friend Arla, who's a co-host on the show quite often, has experienced this, and I've experienced it when I've been gifting with them. They normally take half. It's like it's a tradition from ancient days.
Wow.
But if you just say, hey, look, I don't mind you taking some stuff and sharing with you, but don't take it all, or don't do this or whatever. Just express it from your heart and whatever, and they'll probably listen. I mean, you can have a conversation with them just by thinking it, right?
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And so, Barb, here's an actual example of how that worked for me. We used to have a bunch of chickens. We had bantams, because my youngest daughter was in chicken 4-H. So we had bantam chickens and normal sized chickens. And I got so sick of collecting the bantam eggs because they're so small. They're just, I'm sorry, it was irritating. So one day while I was out collecting them, I picked a couple up and I said, okay, you guys, you can have all of the bantam eggs, all the small ones, leave me the big ones.
Wow.
And it's good. I did not get another bantam egg for 6 months.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I think they just got sick of them or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, you're right. These aren't even worth it. It's all shell.
Yeah. 6 months later, they were saying, yeah, now I know why he was saying that. These things are crap.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, cheapo. When you give them a couple of the big ones, for Pete's sake.
They got the duck eggs too, so I don't want to hear it.
Oh, okay. But no, that's how it works. That's how it works. So I'm sure it's going to get really interesting for you. Well, and
Yeah.
not that it already hasn't.
Yeah, it is. I feel like so our home security cameras early on, they were catching a lot of stuff at night. And what I think is happening is that they're moving right outside of like visual sight of the cameras. Like the camera can pick up the movement, but you can't. When you watch the video, you can't see it. So I can also watch through, the camera if I want to, like on a manual setting. So I started to do that occasionally overnight. And I've had things like, it seemed like they're like the one night, it seemed like they were like throwing things at the camera. Like I know they were throwing things at the camera. And yeah.
Probably because they knew you were watching.
Yeah, and I think it was more, I think it was more of like a joking thing. And I'll tell you why,
Yeah,
because
of course,
if they wanted if they wanted to throw, rocks, or if they wanted to get rid of the camera, it would, super easy. But I went out the next day and I'm like, I wonder what they were throwing. Here they had taken a pine cone and peeled it. And like the little pieces of the pine cone is what they were throwing. They weren't throwing the whole pine cone. And it was, and there's no other peeled pine cone pieces anywhere. It's just right in the area around it.
So a little fun fact about the fir cones, they actually
Yes.
peel them, they eat the seeds, and that is actually a food source for them.
Oh my gosh. So that would make sense too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's
How do you know
cool.
that? How do you know that, Kevin? I wasn't aware of that.
So I have been watching Colorado Bigfoot since he started. Mark Abel, he's in Colorado, and oh my gosh, some of the things he's filmed. He has thousands of hours of footage of some of the most amazing structures and beings from the unseen realm that you could possibly imagine. And some of what he's found are these enormous piles of pine cone leavings, like what was being thrown at Barb's camera. And the actual pine nut itself had been eaten. So basically these mounds, either you've got a billion squirrels,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Creating this one mound, which isn't very likely, or you've got, our Sass clans using that as it's either a snack or a main food source. I don't know, but we certainly have plenty of fir cones in our area.
Oh yeah.
So
Definitely.
When I found that out, I started looking, and there's squirrel piles that you can find under trees, but then there's bigger piles in our woods, at least where I live, that I don't think are squirrel, because the leavings of the cone after it's been disassembled, it's all too new. It hasn't decomposed. It's not brown. It's just these enormous. I think they just sit there and eat like a lot.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's how I know.
Cool.
That's cool.
Have you guys ever met in real life?
No, we haven't yet. No.
A 5 mile Zoom.
You could do a musical together.
Yeah.
If ever I would leave you.
So Barb has shared.
Really... Go ahead. I'm sorry, Kevin.
Barb has shared some of the videos from her Ring camera, and there are some really. So I have a video editor where I can zoom in and play it while it's zoomed, like to a very specific section, and she has some amazing stuff going on around her house. Now, some of that was pareidolia, I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's. So, and I've said this, I think, to you before, Barb, there's more than just Sasquatch out here.
Yeah.
And more than just, right? More than just Dogman. There's
I was like, la, 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 I don't want to, yeah. That's scary.
Understand that she has captured some stuff on video that's not just Sasquatch. There's some amazing stuff in her footage. And we share entities, I'm quite sure. We share beings that go back and forth, because again, we're only 5 miles away. And I know that I live right on a Sasquatch highway coming up from Puget Sound on the eastern side of the peninsula, and she lives on the western side of the peninsula.
Wait. Reverse, right? You're over on the western side.
No, I'm on the east. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. It's reverse.
Okay. Yeah,
I know
yeah,
my right.
because I was like, wait. Well, growing up on the East, see, I grew up on the East Coast, so I'm always thinking, oh, well, if it's water, it's definitely, yeah. So
Right.
in my mind, I have to think, yeah, it's like reverse too. But anyway,
You
yeah.
caught me. That's good though. I'm glad.
But anyway, yeah.
So why Kevin? I mean, is it just because of the vicinity or how close you guys live or whatever? Is that why you think it's the same plan, or are there other reasons you think it's the same plan?
So she has shown me a couple of her pictures as well. And ever since, so Barb, this is going to maybe sound weird to you, but ever since the Sasquatch have basically taken me under their wing and created a relationship with me, and I've been a lot more sensitive to energies, right? And they have a very specific energy. And so Barb has shared some pictures with me, and one of them most recently was of two individuals who were watching her. That she got, in my opinion, they're fairly clear pictures of our clan, right? There's a younger one and there's an older one. And the older one looks and feels very much like the Sasquatch woman, Misha, who has been interacting with me. Wow. So I honestly think that based on everything I know about this particular clan, because this is really the only clan I know anything about, they move around the area. They don't just hang out at the lake where
the sound,
the sound, right? I mean, they have main areas, I think, that they just they hop from, right? And so I know that they've been absent from the lake all winter. I don't know where they go. Tom actually said he thinks they go to the coast because of the food being so plentiful there, and it doesn't serve. I don't know if that's entirely true. I know that there's always at least one person or one Sasquatch person in their area protecting it or watching over it or whatever, because I almost always get some sort of a notification or something like that when I go into their area. And in the summer, it's a bunch of them, right? I get all sorts of stuff. But when it's during the winter, it's not. And even during the summer, sometimes they're not there. They are somewhere else. And so I'm going to, and this is an assumption on my part, and I admit it fully. And based on what I've seen from Barb, I think it's a pretty supported assumption. They go to her area or other areas as well. And I don't know why. It could be food. It could be, it could be, I'm tired of this area. I want to go get a change of scenery.
Yes. Yeah, I think currently that they're not in the area that they were in. Maybe they'll come back to that area, but they're further into the peninsula, which is to get to our house off of the main road. And Kevin, that's like the main road is like a 2-lane highway, one lane in each direction. But to get to that, there's just this dark, vast forest. And I have seen, as I'm driving through there, I see these cool little tree structures like popping up all over the place. So I think they're probably in there. Because there's also a like a big swamp, with brackish water. And I think they're probably hanging around there too.
Right.
Kevin, can I ask you something?
Yes.
You told me, and I'm just wondering how you decipher this information, if it was just your feeling or if you were, energetically given the answer or whatever. But do you remember because I remember feeling like this too, when you have your own area, you kind of feel like it's your area and you don't want any other people going in there. You kind of get really protective of it, eh? And I mean, I was doing this in like a provincial forest, like where I have no right to, but I still didn't want any people around there.
Yeah.
So I understand totally. But you were saying that one time you were in your area and there was, you noticed some guy that was kind of like a stranger going around there, and you got that feeling like, I don't want him around here, and you wanted to chase him out or something. But then you got the feeling that let him have his own experience.
That was not a feeling.
Yeah. Well, how did that play out? And how did they let you know?
All right. So I need to step back. I want to set up the story just a little bit. And I don't mean to get too long-winded here because this is Barb.
No, I want to hear. I want to hear.
It's actually
both of
the
ours.
Pork and Bean Show with Barb Hartman and Kevin Royce in actuality. So you are part of the show, Kevin.
Yeah.
So I was really naive when I first started interacting with our Sasquatch friends, and I didn't understand. And I was searching out information, and I was not very careful about what I was sharing online, about where I was interacting with these magnificent people. And so unfortunately, I didn't share as much as I thought I did, but I had invited someone to come with me one time if he wanted to. And I don't remember how much information I gave him. So I made an assumption that was incorrect. And it wasn't very, and I kind of had a very strong emotional reaction. But I went to my area and I saw some guy, and I got the deep sense that he was there because of my information, that I had somehow sold out my clan, and
I get, Kevin, I totally get.
Blasphemer. You're a
Yeah, I
blasphemer.
get it. I get that.
right. So this is a hike I go on like every other day, right? So that's where I have all of my 90% of my interactions. And this was my first trip in that I saw this guy, and I got so upset. I mean, not even just a little bit. I knew that because my energy was so wrong, there was no way on God's green earth these people were going to interact with me, because I was a mess. And so I just immediately flipped around and I walked back out. And as I'm coming up the trail, all of a sudden words entered my brain that did not match my emotional state. And that's what caught my attention the most, because, and as it turns out, I think this had been happening a lot, but they're really sneaky about when they slip in thought placement or suggestions. So what I got was, you need to let him specifically have his experience with us. That's all that was said. But there was so much. I mean, those were the actual verbalized words in my head.
Wow.
But there was so much more that went with it. And all of a sudden, I realized how wrong I was, how possessive I'd become.
Finally.
Yeah. And I actually felt ashamed, because I had not treated these people with the respect and dignity that they need. They weren't mine to possess. And I realized at that point, I really needed to reevaluate my relationship and how I felt about this clan. So that was my first instance of was it? Yeah, that was my first instance of mind speak. I had another instance which was almost as dramatic, but yeah, that was how that all happened.
Yeah. But this was like just thoughts that were foreign to your mood and what you were thinking at the time.
Oh yeah.
You didn't actually hear voices, right?
No, there was no voice. It was just all of a sudden, and I felt it. I didn't even just hear it, I felt it. It hit.
Yeah. No, I know.
Whoa, wow, yeah.
That's the most common form of mind speak, is the thought placement, at least for me. That happens all the time. But there is also the classic voice in your head. And I've had that a few times. Where
Placement.
Well, we all know you hear voices, Brian.
But my point is that there's all different kinds of mind speak.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Kevin, I had something really similar. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I want to just tell this story.
Go ahead.
Please do.
Because this is like now, and I didn't get any kind of mind speak, but how you become so possessive and how you get scared, because I think too, wait, am I divulging too much information? And I don't want anyone here that isn't supposed to be here. The area that I'm in is so it's heavily secured, like managed. They have a private security company that watches over it, and so I also become afraid, like I don't want to do anything that's going to put that in jeopardy or whatever. And then they say you can't come here and hike and whatever. So last week, I think it was last week, there was a truck that pulled up, and this guy went into the woods, and I'm like, who is that? Like I'm like, oh. And I was like, what is he doing? I go up and I'm like taking pictures of his license plate. And So I had texted the property manager, or actually texted my husband. I'm like, can you please text the property manager? I texted our neighbor and I said, there's a guy walking around in the woods. Can you like let them know? So anyway, it was like a guy from a utility company. They said, no, we appreciate you watching out, but he's supposed to be here. It's okay. But I was like, you better not be in there, like looking at the trying to get
Right?
because I thought, yeah, what if this some Yahoo, that's like, oh, who are we
Yeah.
gonna go in and anyway, so I get that feeling. I was so like enraged. Like I probably
Oh,
would have
yeah.
went and confronted the guy. How stupid, but like, what are you doing here? Well, I'm from the utility company, lady, you know.
You know what though? It is also true that, like, because one of my good friends had a relationship with the same Sasquatch clan that I have a relationship with, and he used to go and leave them pancakes and whatever at this special place. Actually, it's where I hold my Sasquatch gathering every year, and you're welcome to come too, Barb. We can discuss that
Oh
later.
yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Bring Kevin along with you.
Okay. If us hermits will leave our area, right, Kevin?
Right.
But anyway, so he used to leave them he would go in there at the last thing at night and then go in there the first thing in the morning, because the park closed at, and people couldn't access it. So just to make sure
Okay.
what was going on. And he would leave them pancakes, and he could actually see them after a while sitting, at a distance waiting for the pancakes or whatever. Like they were
Oh, wow.
really, really getting close to him, right?
Oh
I mean,
gosh.
really, really a close relationship.
Whoa.
But then he started talking about it with some other people. And this one guy brought these like BFRO type guys in or whatever, like people who were very disrespectful.
Yeah. Yeah.
People who would be like, you're not welcome in my house kind of people. If it was us that, if we were people you wouldn't want in your home. So the
Yeah.
Sasquatch would feel the same thing. And, and ever since that happened, he's never been the same. So you have to, you do have to be a little bit protective of who you let know about it and who you bring in.
Definitely.
Because, they will, I don't like to say judge because they don't really judge, but they will, for lack of a better word, judge you on who you bring in a way. And
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I feel like if I lose their trust, like if they trust me,
yeah,
I lose their trust by bringing someone in. Like if you, you're friends with someone, they bring over, like you said, bring over some mutual friend who's a complete jerk, disrupts your household, maybe causes some damage. You're going to think, well, wait a minute. I don't want to be friends with that person now, I don't trust that person anymore. Right. Like,
yeah.
so I get that.
You want to hear can I share my funniest mind speak story with you?
Yes, please.
So this was classic mind speak. Okay. So I'm walking along in the woods and I hear in my head a voice, a big male voice. And I know it was RE now. I know it was him. He says, go to the green tank. And, I'd never had, other than when they told me to go to the mountains, and that was so fast. I didn't really, but go to the green tank. And I was headed somewhere else because I had a gifting area and I wanted to go in because they were doing some amazing interaction back and forth. And so I said, yeah, I'll go there in a bit. I'm just going to go and check this out first, but go to the green tank. And it was back and forth. I was arguing with this voice in my head. Right. And the voice got really a lot firmer and firmer. And then eventually it just kind of tailed off as if, okay, whatever. So I said, oh, okay, that's good. We've come to a compromise. So I thought, I'll go and check out my area, and then I'll go to the green tank. That was my compromise, right? So I'm walking up to my area where I had a gifting tree, and I had I'd been there 20, 30 times before, more than that, and there was no way that I could miss it. I walked up and down the trail.
Oh wow!
Probably a dozen times, and not a word of a lie. They cloaked the area, maybe the size of a room, completely cloaked it. And so I've always laughed about that, and I just imagine RE saying, "Okay, do what you want, man, but you're not going to find it." And then I went to the green tank, and it was like quiet as a church mouse, like not a, not. Yeah, he cloaked the entire area on me,
Oh my gosh.
and
Wow.
it was impossible to miss. So that was a
Yeah.
classic mind speak,
Wow.
but I'm pretty sure that you're experiencing mind speak. You just start to recognize it
Possibly. I
as time
just have,
goes on a
yeah,
little bit.
have to be open, more to it. Yeah. Again, this is all new.
Yeah.
So I just,
Yeah,
oof.
like for instance, with me, they'll also guide me off trail. I'll just decide I'm going off trail for some reason, and then I'll find like
Mhm.
amazing big
Wow.
circle glyphs and stuff. And I don't know if
Yeah.
you've read the book,
Wow.
but there's some
I'm,
pictures
I'm
of
in,
those in
yeah.
there. But anyway,
I'm in the
yeah,
process. Yeah. Like
it's
that.
are you enjoying it? You
Yes,
have to lie on the
definitely.
show. If you're not,
No, no, definitely. No, absolutely. Yeah, I am. It's amazing. Because this is not, a lot of people don't know about these type of situations, I think, that go on. Oh, everybody knows the Patterson Gimlin film. You might know this or that, but this kind of, or like the Finding Bigfoot, Expedition Bigfoot or whatever. But this kind of stuff, when there's an actual reaction, a relationship going back and forth, this isn't something that's common knowledge to people, and it's really
well,
cool.
that's the whole thing of a relationship with them.
Yeah.
That's where I think we're really. I'm not saying just me, like I'm the cat's meow, but that's what. But that it for
Yes.
anybody who has that kind. That's how the relationship you want. You want an
Yes. Yeah.
actual. That's the kind of
Yeah.
relationship that, and I'm getting energy when I'm saying that.
Oh, wow. Well, and definitely, especially if I have these things living, like, well, they go under my house, they're in our backyard, they're right next, 10 feet away. Of course, I want to
Yeah.
have a good relationship with them.
But I don't know if
Yeah.
you picked up. But I mean, it's important if you picked this up in the book yet. But it's very, very important for people to realize that with these experiences, these woo experiences, and all these things that happen, and it's actually there's always a lesson or some kind of teaching. They'll teach you about about the fact that they can cloak, or that they can shapeshift, or that they time doesn't exist.
Mhm.
Like time is not linear, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Because I remember one time thinking about time, and I was just starting to ponder that about the linear aspect of time, and that it's actually just an invention of man, and it's not linear for them. And then they started leaving me clips about time and stuff, and then showing me examples with the experiences about time. So it's really detailed how
Wow.
this kind of stuff unfolds.
Hey Barb, let me ask you a question. A little
Yes.
while back, you were
Mhm.
talking about trust, or just the word trust came up, and especially in relationship to woo. Is you ever think to yourself, how much would you trust your clans the way they are right now?
How much would I trust them? Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying?
yeah.
I think so far, I would have to say that I do trust the ones that have been here, because they haven't given me any reason not to. They could do a lot of damage, they can do whatever they want, but you know what I mean? Does that
Um,
sound
the thing in relationship, you said you're in their house, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
they trust you to be in their house. Would you trust them to be in your house if they were invisible or something?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't thought
Well, it's a
about
good
that.
question because
Yeah,
it's like
it
tit
is.
for tat, neighbor for neighbor.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you would
yeah,
go into your neighbor's house,
yeah,
would
that's
you
a good
trust them enough to come
Mhm.
into your house? So it's
So,
yeah,
like a
that's a good
level of
point.
friendship.
so
Yeah,
Barb,
that's not yeah.
they've been in my house.
That you told me that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Several
They,
times.
they've been in all of our houses. They've been in Mr. Beans's
They've
house too.
they've been in my house too. That's the
Wow.
reason why I ask, is because if if they're wandering around in your backyard, they probably have been inside your house,
Yep.
Wow.
and they've just been very polite and not messing
Yes.
up. Yeah.
Mhm. I mean, I wouldn't be like, no, absolutely not. I've had, not at this house, but I lived in a house that I would consider haunted years ago. And I've had paranormal experiences and things like that. So, it wouldn't be completely like, oh no, I wouldn't want that. Yeah, they're going to respect my space or whatever,
Yeah.
not
You
scare
could,
me.
you could probably be rest assured that if you have Sasquatch in your house, you're not going to have ghosts in your house.
Well, that's good. All right, come on in.
Well,
Yeah,
actually,
I
that's
think
not true, Michael. That's not true.
Oh no.
God?
Because I'm pretty certain the previous
Or
resident.
maybe you'll have more ghosts in your house.
Well, I know that Talitha's been in here. I know that I've had some, I don't know what to call it actually. After my heart surgery and I came home and I had that entity at the end of my bed, who I could see it out of the corner of my eye. I knew that wasn't one of my Sasquatch friends. And when it realized I could see it, it was very surprised and came up to the head of the bed. So, and it didn't scare me. It didn't have any ill intent. In fact, I think it was trying to care for me in its own way. So just know, if you have Sasquatch in your house, you still have the ability to have unseen citizens also.
Yeah, I think Mr. Beans is making a really strong point there, though. If you want to carry the relationship on, expand it and advance it, you've got to have trust between the two of you.
Yes.
And you
I see
can't
what
have
you're
any fear either.
Yeah.
You want one funny thing that happened when I had my heart, when I was in the hospital. I had my near heart attack, or maybe, I don't know, precursor to one. Anyway, I got lucky. But I was in the hospital, and my truck was parked outside for 3 days, and I was worried about it, right? So I got my wife to phone my landlord. See, because my wife lives in the States. I was sponsoring her, so we were together. To phone my landlord and tell her, I know it sounds weird otherwise.
No, I read them. Yeah.
I asked her if she would come and get my truck, right? And she's talking to the landlord on the phone, and she says, "What, you mean he's not home? I heard him rustling around in the kitchen last night,
Oh wow.
making a big racket, when I was in the hospital. And then when I got home, there was a big handprint, or what I think was one. I'm not 100% sure, but it looked like a big handprint on my bed sheets.
Wow.
So they were definitely in the house.
That's cool.
Look,
Wow.
checking up, like, and it also shows you their heart and their concern for people, like
Oh,
how
yeah.
they, they really love the people that they connect with, and they're loyal. If you want a loyal friend, they are loyal beyond any friendship you could have with a person, probably,
Yeah. Wow.
And long term too. There's just hundreds of stories about them meeting you when you're 7 years old, like with Arla, and then later hooking up and actually interacting with you when you're 40 years old.
Wow.
What kind of people can have a 40-year friendship that they're willing to invest in and build in? That's just phenomenal. The level of commitment to friendship that they have.
Yeah,
That's
and you
cool.
know what? One other thing I forgot to mention, but I picked up on when you were talking, is that I think that they have known you for a lot longer than just when you moved to the house and the experiences started happening. I think that your interest in Sasquatch when you were young was an indication that they have been watching you, and you've been a person of interest, so to speak, for a long time, because that's what I figured out. Because I was very similar. I had an obsession with them, researching them. I was looking on the internet about them all the time. And then when my relationship started in earnest with them, then I realized, oh, okay, they've been with me for a long time. And it was just the time for them to introduce themselves. So I strongly suspect that that's the case with you too.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Wow. I love that.
Did you want to get into some of those pictures, or?
Sure. One thing hey, Kevin, I remember one of the things, because I think, Brian, you had asked him you thought it was the same clan. And one of the things was about the big blue eyes, right, Kevin?
Yeah.
That you told me about one of them, because my daughter, before the big X in the yard. So I want to say it was from between 2018 to, maybe December of 2021, she came in one night and said, "Oh my gosh, there's this like thing looking at me in the backyard." And she was like terrified, like crying. There's this big tall thing, and it's blinking its eyes, and she's like making her eyes like that. And I'm like, "What?" So, is it an animal? She's like, "No, it's really tall." And it was like bright blue eyes that are blinking, and I went out and I didn't see anything, but I think I'd mentioned that, or you had said about the big blue eyes, right, Kevin? I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's what she saw.
Eye shine. Yeah, eye
Yeah,
shine.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think they're all, it's individual what color they, just like we have different eye colors. I think they have different eye shine colors. You know, there are people who try to tie it to mood and say that if it's red, it's evil. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I've never gotten that sense because I've seen all the colors. Well, I mean, not all the colors that exist, but within our clan, I've seen blue, white, red, orange, green. For some reason, I want to say purple, but I don't. Basically, they can be as dim as just like little twinkly stars that you see in the woods, looking where there's no backlight, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
Right?
there's no source like, okay, like, so, when you say eye shine, it's typically there's a source that is shining,
Right.
emitting a light into that, and that's coming back, and this was like an independent,
Exactly. That's exactly it.
which
It's independent.
I had no idea. And then it wasn't until, again, started to do the research and like, wow, could this be something? And then you had said about the blue eyes. And anyway,
yeah.
that was what I just wanted to
They can be
mention.
beautiful, kind of a sapphire blue looking out at
Yeah,
you.
she said it was a gorgeous blue, but she was
Yeah.
just terrified,
How many,
She
how many ti-
was.
If I
How many
didn't know what
times
it was, I might have been too.
how many times have you seen eye shine, Kevin?
Oh, hundreds.
Wow.
You know what's weird?
What?
Everybody has different experiences, right?
Yeah.
And I think that different clans in different areas, they have different tendencies. Like my guys don't come out in the open too often. I have seen them, but that's not their tendency. In some places in Georgia where Arlo hosts or has had campouts, they'll come right out and walk around, and so they all do different kinds of stuff. And my clan, in 12 years, I had never ever seen eye shine. Okay. Until one time I was at my gathering, and I was out by my truck and it was really dark and I was looking off into the woods, and I said, it's funny, I've never seen eye shine. As soon as I thought that or said that, there was eye shine.
Wow.
But it's the only time I've ever seen it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
See, well, that's the thing about where they can read your intentions and your heart and your thoughts, Barb. So,
So they haven't been back. For me, they haven't been back. For me, they haven't been back since the guy built the house next door to us.
Really?
Yeah, I'm really bummed out about it. My
Huh.
dog's asking to go out. I'll be back, you guys.
Okay. Okay.
yeah, Kevin is pretty bummed out, but now they're with you. So what do you think, what have you deduced or whatever that, who do you think they are? What do you feel about them as far as who they are and what they're doing?
You mean as far as like flesh and blood? Is that what you mean? Or no, is that where you're going? Like,
Well, what are they
are?
What are they doing with you? Basically, who do you think they are?
At first, well, I feel like that they're, and again, this is just my, opinion. I feel like they're flesh and blood, but with maybe a supernatural power. Does that make
Interdimensional,
sense?
maybe? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because just some of the things that I think that, that their abilities, how they've been able to make even to, make the camera like turn on, but they're not, they're like they're making themselves invisible or cloaking or whatever. So I think so that's what I definitely believe. And I think that they have, and the more I talk to people, like what you guys are saying, like with the mind speak, maybe that's something so I think that that's possible. As for as large as they are, they can't just be a flesh and blood big like ape, because they would be very easily detected.
Of course.
So that's where I'm at. And as far as at first I thought that they were here because of our house was built by an older woman, and she didn't I think she was first using it maybe as like a weekend house. because of where we're located, just like a little vacation. And she never lived here full time for very long. So I think that they're used to the house being empty, nobody really being here. And then with us moving in and starting to do some renovations and being here all the time, that was probably piqued their curiosity. That's what I thought. And maybe that is still the case. We can be their like entertainment, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I also think though that there is something about you and me and Beans and
yeah,
Mr. Beef and all people have a real relationship with them that it goes beyond that.
yes.
Beyond curiosity. There's intention and there's history there.
Yeah.
Did you say you were interested in the Sasquatch before you moved into that house?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yes.
then what was it that made you choose that house and that location?
We love the remoteness, the rural area. My husband and I grew up in a small town, and he was in a very small town. He lived on a farm. And we just kind of were looking for the same, more peacefulness. We have a fantastic water view. So that was another thing that was, wow, we just love that. I love there's a peace that I find here. And not joking, when Kevin and I had been talking about this, it is like you become a hermit when you move to this peninsula, because I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave. I hate when I have to go into town or whatever. I just love the peacefulness here.
And this is like your retirement home?
Yeah, this will be like our forever home, I guess you'd say, till
Yeah.
as long as we can be here.
That's
Yeah.
amazing because to me that's when, like I was saying, this thing with Sasquatch, they can wait 40 or 50 years before they step into your life, and
Wow.
now it just seems like such a good time for them to step into your life, and you actually moved into their life. You know what I mean? So, and
Yeah.
then you're talking about peace
Yeah.
and appreciation and loving the area. So, which is different than the person who just comes, or the people who have armed security guards,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
different.
Yeah. Or don't understand, like, why is this? I don't know. Why is a squirrel in my yard digging up my flower bulbs or some dumb thing like that,
Yeah.
because,
Well, it seems
yeah.
like
So,
you're compatible to their level of friendship.
yeah.
'Cause
Well, yeah.
for sure, people who are angry or shoot at squirrels and stuff all night long, they're
Yeah.
not gonna hang out. They're not gonna hang out. They're not gonna hang out in their
Right.
backyard and
Right.
say
Right.
hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. And I think that goes what we were talking about before with the trust is, I think some researchers that go out and, nothing against people, whatever, do what you want, but they go out and like hooting and hollering and making all kinds of noise and like, woo, and if I was a Bigfoot, I'd be like, what the hell? What are you doing? Like, what,
That's a great
you
place
know?
to go back in on.
Yeah.
Look at Kevin, you look like you're cloaking. Kevin's cloaking.
I wish. Wouldn't that be cool?
It'd be great. Yeah, it'd be great.
So Kevin,
Yes.
do you think that your lack of interaction lately, do you think it's directly correlated to your neighbor?
I do. Actually, no, I think Barb stole them from me. That's all.
No, yeah,
She almost
we
lives-
already discussed that when you were gone, that you
Yeah.
that you did
And
that.
I'm like,
But
yes, mission success.
Meow.
No. Joking.
Oh, that wasn't nice. I'm sorry.
So-
I'm joking.
I don't know where that came out. But I mean, he's obviously got really, really bad energy. And you know that they don't like being around. They won't interact with you when you're, I mean, even with me, if I'm out in one of my campouts or whatever, people start talking about negative stuff and the world today and stuff like that, they don't come around at all. When we start talking about spiritual stuff and our vibrations raised and we're laughing and whatever, that's when that's when they're going to come in. So I would imagine that, and you probably agree with me, that this guy, he's not the most highly evolved, energetic person in the world. They probably want to avoid him like the plague. Is that what you're thinking?
That's my opinion. And what's really sad about it is that piece of property had been undeveloped and was really one of the only remaining ones around the lake that still had some older growth forest on it. And I know for certain there is or was a portal there that they and other beings used, and I became aware of that over time. And once he cleared the property and he left that area where the portal is, not alone, he did disturb it quite a bit, but the main trees that are, Sasquatch have special trees. That's just what I've discovered. That they remodel them or mold them in certain ways. And and these particular trees, they treated this area before almost like it was holy, right? It was definitely, there was a completely different energy about it. And it was really surreal to live right next door to it. There were times when I had seen light in the woods.
Wow.
From that area, and there's no houses behind it where the light would shine. So basically there was something up there, and I never went to investigate just because I didn't feel like it was appropriate. But ever since this guy built his house, and that's also the area where I think the most time I've ever had up above, so that's actually on a hill above my backyard. And the most I've ever had up there, that's where they used to stand, and they would visit with me from there. And there would be 5 or 6 of them at times with their eye shine, right? And that's where I saw all the different colors and very different heights too. Some were very tall, some were just peeking over the brush. That's where I actually saw they gave me my first visual, and it was, I believe it was Talitha personally. And she peeked out. I was out doing yard work one day and I was out there alone. It was a spring day. So the trees hadn't actually, the lower trees hadn't actually got their foliage yet. Mm-hmm. And I was tired, and it was sunny. It was beautiful. One of the first warm. In fact, I just out there right now. It's warm. We're missing the sunshine.
Oh, yay. Yeah, you're right. Yes. Oh.
Anyway, so all of a sudden I stopped and I just went, you know what? I want to lay down. And so I laid down on my grass that I just cut, and it was just a magnificent day. And all of a sudden I thought, wow, I'm being watched. You get that feeling.
Yeah.
And I looked up at the woods, and there's this head. It looked like bedhead, right? Looking out behind a tree. And then she knew, or she wanted me to see her for sure, because she held it there for a minute before she, popped away. And, that was my first sighting ever. And you know how your brain does that? Did I make that up? Did I really see what I thought? Because we're talking about, she's 50 feet away behind, peeking out from behind a tree. There's lower brush. I didn't realize how tall she was until I went up to look. And she's about 7 feet tall, 7 to 8 feet tall, because I'm almost 6 feet tall, and my head came out at a lot different place than her head. Let's put it that way. Anyway, that's why I was heartbroken when we wanted to buy that piece of property. We didn't even know it came on the market. And so it was just a really unfortunate situation where he came and destroyed a fantastic situation.
I'm sorry. That sucks.
Yeah. It's not like it's the only place I can interact with them. It's just that was the most
just perfect,
right?
Mm-hmm.
When my dog died, it was 4 years ago, Father's Day. I carried her out of the house so she could breathe. We didn't get her to the vet in time. She had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and we knew she was terminal and all that, but we didn't get her to the vet in time. And so on her last night, she was having a hard time breathing. And I took her out to the front lawn, and so she could get some cool, fresh air, because it was actually a unseasonably warm June. And I laid there on the grass with her in the dark from about 9 p.m. until she passed at around midnight or 1 o'clock. And the Sasquatch came and grieved with me from those woods.
Wow.
It was beautiful. I felt their love, their energy. They were there to support me and my
That's
dog
amazing.
and they were friends with my previous dog who also passed away, but they weren't really good friends with Grace, the dog that died that night. They came to an understanding or an agreement over time, I think, but she was never super friendly towards them, whereas my other dog loved them. Oh my gosh, she almost loved them more than she loved me. So anyway, that's why I'm so heartbroken about that particular piece of property
Sure.
being destroyed.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I just sort of took that over.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Oh, it's
Hey,
awful.
Kev, I can't believe, I don't think I've ever asked you this, which is surprising because we've had lots of conversations over the years.
Yes.
Why do you think that the Sasquatch people contacted you, or why do you think you were one of the people fortunate enough to have a relationship with them?
So, I struggled with that early on because, as you know, as a believer, as a Christian, I had a really hard time fitting the existence of Sasquatch into my particular perspective or belief system, because there just didn't seem to be a place where Sasquatch fit within a natural realm of my understanding of the cosmology presented in the Bible. And, I'm also an engineer, so I've got kind of there's always that healthy tension anyway between belief and evidence going on in my head. I think that when I was younger, in retrospect, when I was very young, I lived in Woodinville, which is at the time back in the 60s was completely woods. We lived out in the country. I was 2 years old, and as I look back on it, I think that was the first time that Woodinville is in Washington. I don't know if any of you know where it is.
I know. Yeah.
Right. I think I think that they tagged me early on. Later in life, I moved to Oregon and lived up on a mountain just south of Hillsboro. It's called Bald Peak, just woods. We didn't have any neighbors to speak of. I worked on a dairy there, and I know for a fact they watched me. I know that earlier on in my life, when we lived in Edmonds, that I had interaction in. There's a large UW research forest that it's got old growth everything in there. It's fantastic. It's a UW research forest, and I used to play there when I was like 10. I know that there's a clan that lives there, at least one clan, if not more. And I was always creeped out by those woods, but I still played in them. So the answer to that question is, I think that they tagged me early on, and they actually, and I don't want to overstate this, but they kind of, I think, saved my life. Once I got my dementia diagnosis, I really kind of just sat in my chair and wanted to die. And I wasn't about to get up. And I think that they had compassion on me. That's really what I think it is. And they started to make themselves known because I knew that would kind of get me re-involved in life and maybe able to see the blessings that I still had in my life, which actually are amazing. I still have some amazing blessings. In fact, I kind of feel like it's a blessing that I lost my career and portions of my brain. So why they chose me, I don't know. I've guessed a lot of things, as you can tell. I don't have any firm conclusions. I'm just glad that they did. Right? It's been one of the most profound and life-altering experiences next to my near-death experience that I have ever had. And I think actually part of my near-death experience had something to do with them. So
Wow.
I've been changed for the better. That's all I can say.
So as a Christian, because let's face it, many Christians would look at people talking in your head or Sasquatch is demonic or any kind of teachers other than Christ. So how have you been able to come to terms with it being a Christian, your relationship with them and how it doesn't conflict with conventional Christian thoughts, I guess, or whatever?
It has actually, and I don't know if you're addressing that to me or whether you're addressing it to Barb.
Well, I'm a Christian also, so that would be something to both of us. Yeah. Yeah.
You both answer it then. I didn't know you were a Christian, Barb. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, yeah.
No, okay, so you're up then, Beef. So you tell us, and then Barb.
So, as you know, Brian, because we had a lot of conversations about this, my perspective or my perception of who the Sasquatch people are has gone through so many different iterations where I tried to fit them into a box, right? And the first box was when I was a kid and I didn't know any better. I thought they were kind of an ape man, if you will, because I was a little kid. And I didn't understand any sort of nuance about anything. So when I became a Christian, I was forced to reconcile, well, I think they exist. And if they exist, they're probably a Nephilim, right? Or some sort of demonic thing. And then I'm ashamed to say it. I actually believed that. And they tolerated me even through that. I mean, so then when they showed me they existed and they started to give me experiences that I had to reevaluate that even. It's like, well, hold on, what I'm getting from them is a lot more respect and love and caring. And they are giving me opportunities to process trauma and fear. And then this one particular Sasquatch woman who, she gave me, her name is Talitha. I don't know if that's her actual name or whether it's just something because we humans need to use names, wanted me to call her. She did a healing on my brain, and not from a dementia standpoint, but from an emotional, spiritual, relational healing, where she allowed me to experience the deepest love I've ever experienced in my life.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
there's no words to describe. There really aren't, because I don't think very many people have a place to actually put that kind of experience. And so words in this case are meaningless. There's no common ground. It is so profound that the thing that always comes to my mind is, when in doubt, scripture says you will know them by their fruit, right? And so I look at what are the fruit of the Sasquatch people in my life. And yeah, they scared me once or twice, and it wasn't to hurt me. It was so that I would evaluate my fear response, because the fear was about me. It wasn't about them. I was never in danger.
Yeah.
They healed me. They didn't have to. They could have taken advantage of me. They've protected me in the forest. I mean, I can list this. My list goes on and on and on. All the ways in which they've respected and cultivated a relationship with me that is honoring to my creator. They're honoring to their creator. And so I had to pull that back out and say, well, I don't know where they fit. And does it matter? No. In my case, to me, I came to the conclusion it doesn't matter. They don't have to fit. They are these magnificent, marvelous beings who are playing a life in my journey, or playing a role in my journey and my development, and have chosen to befriend me.
Yeah.
That's I guess a really long way of saying, oh heck, I don't know.
But do you not agree that once you felt that amazing love from them, and I agree, I've never felt anything like it either. I mean, it can bring you from like completely in a neutral state of emotion to weeping
Yeah, 100%.
It just in a split second, like that kind of love and what you felt, it just cannot come from a demonic source. It
No,
feels like
not at
pure. It feels like pure universal love. I mean, to
I will
me.
give you, I'm going to give you a comparison. And, you know, not many people have a near-death experience either, but the love that I felt when Talitha was healing I had a really rough background, Barb, growing up. A lot of trauma that I'd never dealt with. And it impacted my marriage, my relationships, etc. And what Talitha did for me was so profound that everybody in my life knew that something had changed. I'd been a Christian for years, and Christ had never chosen to heal me like that. So with that said, what was your question again, Brian? I just had one of those brain.
I know. I know.
I
That was-
don't think I had a question. I said that
so
once you felt that love, you know that it cannot come
yeah.
from anything but a
Oh.
pure.
I was comparing it to a
Course.
near-death experience. So
Right.
Yeah.
when I had my near-death experience, it was almost identical in the degree of love and compassion and just positive and just comfort and just
Yeah.
it was so phenomenal. I don't know why I came back. I wasn't given the choice.
Yeah.
But I compare it, they're almost the same. And
Yeah.
so
And
it couldn't have been, it could not be demonic. Yes, I know that demons can be
Divine.
demons can be deceptive, right? But
it's way beyond that.
it's way beyond that, because I've had interaction with actual demonic entities when I was in addiction, that I had to deal with, and these were real, actual, physical, manifesting entities that were scarier than scary. So I don't ever get the sense that my Sasquatch, that maybe they are a little bit enigmatic about what they allow us to know or believe. But I've never gotten the sense that they're evil. I've never gotten the sense that they want to harm me in any way. I mean, they could destroy me and I wouldn't be able to do anything about it. And all they've done is shown me care, respect. And I know that's not everyone's experience with them. I don't know how much
sometimes that's just interpretations, because they're in a fear of them to begin with. So something that could be completely like, wow, thank God my friends are here, could be like, oh my God, I'm gonna die, so right.
So anyway, that's my side. And Barb, I'd be interested to hear Barb's take on it.
We are going to get to Barbara, but I have to ask you, now that you said that, so what were the immediate changes? You said you changed dramatically. So how did you change like just like that? What were the, in a nutshell, what were the changes?
So mostly they were all relational. It made me, so just without giving a lot of detail, because it would make me look really bad if I gave a lot of detail. I became a much more loving, compassionate person. I started to see shades of gray. I was no longer, so I was very judgmental, probably people would have called me self-righteous, and kind of an arrogant jerk, really. The experience that they gave me, and coupled with the near-death experience, honestly, I woke up a completely different person with respect to how much I valued my relationships over my stuff, right? And my idea of what was right and what was wrong. My wife and I, we've been together for 40 years, and she had all sorts of reasons to be mad at me, right? And so we weren't as close as we probably could have been. But I remember when I came home from the hospital, looking at her and just being in awe. And I because I didn't know how she felt about me anymore, right? And I know that I hadn't said much. You know, you say I love you and all that stuff, but you don't really know how your spouse feels about you after a few years. And I just remember looking at her and I just said to her, because she was busying herself, taking care of me, doing her duty mode. And I said, I don't really know how you feel about me anymore, but I just want you to know how much I love you.
Aw.
And that was the beginning. She did not respond, right? She
Ugh.
kept doing whatever she was, busy. She kind of looked at him and gave me the side eye. It's like, what are you doing?
What
Right?
the hell are you talking about?
And
I can't say hell, sorry.
yeah, you can. Over the course of the next 6 months, when the change was permanent in me and the way that I interacted with her and changed, I was so different. All of my kids were like, "Oh my God, who are you?"
Wow.
Wow.
They all decided that they wanted to hear what Dad had to say finally, right? And I was able to re-engage with and heal relationships that had really been
Wow.
strained. And it's all started out with Talitha, and it finished up with that NDE, the near-death experience, where I woke up a completely different person. It's like all the bad parts left and all the good parts came.
Yeah.
It was that profound, and it wasn't a conscious choice that I made. I was a different person, and
You can't help it be.
Right.
That's
So
what's
anyway.
my experience too. Yeah. I just wanted to say, and we are going to get to Barb. I just wanted to say that in my book, I think I wrote about 35 ways or whatever, or 30 or 40 some odd ways that near-death experiences and Sasquatch experiences are similar. And so you're right when you say that. So that speaks
And
volume right there.
I'll throw this in just because what a fabulous list that is. You must read it out someday. But there was a great survey done about the UFO contact experience and the near death experience, and that they're running neck and neck with the same kind of results, the same kind of transformation, spiritual awakening, and earthing and relationship building. So you have these three pillars. What the near-death
Yeah.
experience, which has been like 4 to 10 million people, and then the contact experience from the ET people, that's like another 7 to 10 million people. And now there's contact with the forest people, and so that's real compelling stuff.
Yep. Hey, Kevin.
Yes.
We are going to move on to Barb now, but I just wanted to say, and this is no dig, so don't take it like that, but wouldn't it be ironic, because I know your wife is not really enamored with the Sasquatch topic. If she actually thought that the Sasquatch healed your relationship, she probably wouldn't buy that, right?
She wouldn't buy it, so because I know how she feels about Sasquatch, I underplay that, and she knows when she noticed the biggest change was after the NDE. I had already started making some changes before that, but she didn't. It takes something dramatic when you've got so many years of just same old. It takes something dramatic sometimes for it to shift your perspective. And it was the NDE and what it did to me that really got her perspective. So that's the part I kind of play up. And she doesn't want to hear about some Sasquatch woman giving me a healing, right? She does not want to hear about that. So that's not something I'm going to tell her.
No, not at all.